It started with real estate porn. Okay, so picture this. It's 2 a.m., I can't sleep, and I'm doing what every millennial does when they're bored, scrolling through Manhattan real estate listings and slowly dying inside. Then I see it, this penthouse on the Upper East Side, $68 million. Which, casual Tuesday purchase, right? But here's what made me stop scrolling. It was bought in cash by something called Meridian Holdings Delaware LLC. Now I don't know about you, but when I see a company name that sounds like someone threw corporate buzzwords at a wall, my bullshit detector starts beeping. So I did what any reasonable person would do at 2 a.m. I went down the rabbit hole. And let me tell you, what I found changed everything. Like, I can't look at a luxury condo the same way anymore, or a political donation, or honestly, anytime someone says it's perfectly legal with a straight face. So about that Delaware company. Turns out Delaware is basically the Wild West of corporate registration. You can literally create a company there faster than you can get a sandwich delivered. I'm not even exaggerating, the paperwork takes like 10 minutes. But here's where it gets wild. That Delaware company, it was owned by another company in the Cayman Islands, which was owned by a trust in Switzerland, which was managed by some firm in the British Virgin Islands. I'm sitting there at my laptop like, this has to be a joke, right? It's like Russian nesting dolls, but for rich people who really don't want you to know who they are. And then I found the smoking gun, something called the FinCEN files. Okay, so in 2020 there was this massive leak. We're talking about over 2,000 suspicious activity reports that banks had filed with the government. These are basically banks saying, hey, this transaction looks sketchy as hell. The total amount $2 trillion with a T, that's more money than most countries' entire economies. But here's the part that made my jaw drop. Most of these supposedly suspicious transactions kept happening anyway. Banks filed the reports, checked their legal boxes, and then just kept processing the money. It's like calling the cops to report a break-in and then leaving your front door open with a sign that says, "Free TV inside." This is where the story gets absolutely insane. So I'm researching all this and I stumble across HSBC, one of those massive banks with branches everywhere. Turns out in 2012 they got caught red-handed laundering money for Mexican drug cartels. And when I say caught red-handed, I mean the cash literally smelled like the chemicals used to process drugs. The Senate investigation found that HSBC had basically become the cartel's personal banker. The fine? $1.9 billion. Sounds huge, right? But HSBC made $22 billion that year. So they basically paid less than 10% of their revenue as a my bad fee and kept trucking along. Oh, and how many executives went to prison? 0. Not one person spent a single night in jail for helping drug cartels move billions of dollars. At this point I'm thinking, okay, this has got to be a one-off. Surely this doesn't happen at other banks. Spoiler alert, it totally does. Enter Deutsche Bank, stage left, with what might be the dumbest money laundering scheme I've ever heard of. Picture this. Russian clients buy stocks in Moscow for rubles. At the exact same moment, their buddies sell the exact same stocks in London for dollars. Same stocks, same amounts, same timing. They did this 6,000 times. 6,000 times. It's like if I handed you a $20 bill and you handed me back a different $20 bill, and somehow that made my money clean. Except we're talking about $10 billion, and one of the world's supposedly smartest financial institutions, the fine $600 million. They probably made that back in a month. I'm starting to see a pattern here, and it's not a good one. Scene 1. Real estate, the world's biggest washing machine time code. 00021000002390000. Narrator VO. Remember that Manhattan penthouse? Well, turns out it's got a lot of company. I started looking at luxury real estate in major cities and holy crap, the patterns are everywhere. Vancouver is so bad that Canadian intelligence literally, and I mean literally, called their housing market a laundromat for dirty Chinese money. They even have a term for it, snow washing. Which sounds cute until you realize it means locals can't afford to live in their own city, because oligarchs are using their apartments as really expensive safety deposit boxes. I found entire buildings, like 50 condos at a time, bought by anonymous companies, all cash, all within weeks of each other. And then, they just sit empty. $60 million storage units. Meanwhile, teachers and firefighters are commuting 2 hours each way because they can't afford to live where they work. But hey, at least someone's getting their money nice and clean, right? Now, if you thought real estate was sketchy, wait until you hear about the art world. This is where things get so ridiculous it sounds like a movie plot. Art is perfect for this stuff. It's portable, valuable, and completely subjective. Like, who's to say that squiggly line isn't worth $50 million? Art critics? Please. There's this painting, Salvator Mundi, that allegedly, maybe possibly might have been painted by Leonardo da Vinci. It sold for $450 million. The most expensive painting ever. Plot twist. Nobody knows who bought it. The painting has basically vanished. And when investigators started digging, they found this web of Saudi shell companies and intermediaries that would make a CIA operative dizzy. $450 million for a painting that might not even be by Da Vinci and nobody can find. If that's not money laundering, it's the world's most expensive magic trick. Just when I thought I'd seen everything, cryptocurrency crashes the party like that friend who shows up to dinner already drunk. Now, before the crypto bros come for me, most crypto is legit. We're talking less than 1% tied to shady stuff, but that 1%, it's like giving the getaway car nitrous boosters. There are these things called mixers, basically Bitcoin car washes. You put your dirty crypto in one end, it gets tumbled with thousands of other coins, and it comes out the other side squeaky clean and untraceable. And remember those offshore havens I mentioned? They're not just hiding traditional money anymore. They're hosting crypto exchanges now too. I found one shell company in the British Virgin Islands that processed over $1 billion in suspicious transfers. How many employees did it have? 0. It was literally a billion-dollar ghost company. This is where I started feeling like I was in way over my head, because the money trail doesn't just lead to banks and real estate, it leads straight into American politics. There are these guys, Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman, whose names sound like they're straight out of a Bond movie. They were funneling foreign money into US political campaigns through this maze of shell companies and straw donors. When investigators followed the money back, it led to Ukrainian oligarchs and Russian energy companies. Foreign money, flowing into American elections through paths so convoluted you'd need a flowchart just to understand who was bribing whom. And here's the really messed up part. Some of the politicians getting this money were the same ones voting on financial regulations. It's like the fox isn't just guarding the henhouse. The fox is getting campaign contributions to make sure the lock on the henhouse stays nice and broken. Now, I don't want to pick on celebrities, but they play this weird role in all of this that's both hilarious and tragic. The Panama Papers and all these other leaks are full of A-list celebrities using the same offshore structures as drug dealers and arms traffickers. Their lawyers call it tax optimization and privacy protection. And you know what? A lot of it is legal, but it's also perfect cover. When normal people see celebrities getting busted for offshore accounts, they think, oh, rich people problems. They don't see that the same shell companies, the same tax havens, the same lawyers are serving everyone from movie stars to Mexican cartels. It's like the celebrities are the shiny objects distracting you while the real magic trick happens behind the curtain. Scene 1. The uncomfortable reality check. Time code 0004210000000447000. Narrator VO. Okay, so here's where I need to be honest with you. After months of going down this rabbit hole, I realized something that was both comforting and terrifying. There's no grand conspiracy here. No secret cabal of villains meeting in an underground lair planning world domination. What's actually happening is somehow worse. It's a system so complex and so diffused that nobody has to take responsibility for it. Banks process suspicious transactions and say, hey, we filed a report, we did our job. Real estate agents sell to anonymous shell companies and say, we just facilitate transactions. Art dealers don't ask where the money comes from because we're just commerce facilitators. Everyone's just doing their job. And somehow trillions of dollars in dirty money keeps flowing through the system like water through a sieve. Here's what keeps me up at night. All this complexity, the shell companies within shell companies, the jurisdictional hopscotch, it's not accidental, it's profitable as hell. Banks make money on big deposits, period. They don't really care where it comes from as long as they can check the "we filed a report" box. Real estate markets love cash buyers because they close fast and pay over asking. Art dealers love anonymous buyers because they don't negotiate and they don't return paintings. And those billion-dollar fines that make headlines, they're just overhead. HSBC paid $1.9 billion and made $22 billion. It's like getting a speeding ticket that costs less than the gas you save by speeding. The penalties are just the cost of doing business. I know what you're thinking. This is fascinating, but I'm not buying $68 million penthouses or bidding on Mystery Da Vinci's. Why should I care? Here's why. This affects all of us. When housing markets get distorted by anonymous cash from who knows where, regular families can't afford homes. When foreign money floods into political campaigns, your vote matters less. When banks are busy managing cartel money, small businesses can't get loans. It's like we've created this parallel economy for the super wealthy and super criminal, and the rest of us are left fighting over the scraps. Okay, so before you go curl up in a corner and question everything, there is some good news. Other countries are starting to require beneficial ownership registries, basically databases showing who really owns what. The US passed something called the Corporate Transparency Act, which forces a lot of shell companies to reveal their real owners. Some banks are using AI to spot suspicious patterns better. Some countries are actually sharing information instead of just shrugging their shoulders. The key is that more people need to understand how this stuff works. Because once you see the pattern, once you understand how a penthouse in Manhattan connects to a shell company in Delaware connects to a bank in Switzerland, you can't unsee it. And when enough people see it, we can demand better. So remember that $68 million penthouse where this all started? After following the money trail through 4 countries and 6 different corporate entities, I finally found out who really owns it. Ready for this? It's nobody knows. The trail leads to a shell company whose beneficial owner is classified as unknown. The penthouse sits empty. The money trail goes cold. The system worked exactly as designed. But here's the thing. Now you know how to look. You know what questions to ask. You know that when someone says it's perfectly legal or everyone does it, there might be more to the story. And maybe that's enough to start changing things. Because the first step in solving any problem is understanding how it really works. And now you do. So what are you going to do with that knowledge? That's up to you. But me, I'm never looking at real estate listings the same way again.